26th June. Success breeds success. I've been paired up with Joe Dunthorne for this collaborative writing project. As far as I understand it, Joe is a novelist, has long hair and is good at sports. So we are already at odds, but this is good. Tension is productive. I received a voicemail from Joe, who is currently windsurfing in Portugal, to explain that for now he doesn't have much time to work on it. It sounds crazy, but from the ambience of the message I could sense the calm of a long beach, the softness of fruit, and the feeling of a full moon on warm skin. I don't know how to describe the sound of a full moon on a mild evening, but when he hung up, I knew I had just heard it. I enjoyed his voicemail. I plan to leave him one soon in return. I'd like us to bat them back and forth for a bit, a warm-up rally. Tonight I checked my Google stats and saw someone in the Portugal area has discovered my site searching for stupid self-referential Sam Riviere poetry, which seems out of context.
11th July, first meeting. Sam has a new poem about me using only words from my emails/texts. It's called Buffet in the Azores and begins, "Dude, stoked for this body God has given me." For revenge, I tried to write a poem about Sam Riviere's love life. It began, New Cross Library, Ordnance Survey Section, leaning against Peru and New Guinea. I suggested we play ping pong on stage at the festival, since Sam plays badminton. I joked that badminton is refuge for those without talent for other racket sports. The shuttlecock hanging encouragingly in the air while he works through childhood trauma. Sam said he thought on-stage ping-pong bit gimmicky.
29th July. Funny how when you uncover how something is done, the magic evaporates. I've noticed the word affable could be spelled out in the majority of Joe's poems, like in a word search. When I confronted him about it, he grinned and said, "The subconscious does the rest." I didn't tell him he meant the unconscious. After he thrashed me at Giant Connect 4, we batted ideas back and forth for a bit. The most upsetting thing about his victory was that while I was determined to win, I could sense he wasn't particularly bothered either way. I'm now searching for evidence that while I might play sports like a writer, Joe writes like a sportsman. His aptitude is unsettling. Discontinued this thought when I realised Giant Connect 4 isn't a sport. Joe read some poems out loud, so I was forced to keep making apologetic facial expressions to those on the busy tables around us. His poems often seem horrified at their conclusions, a little like the victims of some elaborate TV practical joke. This was especially true of the one about the victim of an elaborate TV practical joke set in a dystopian future. He smells of fresh hay and sea salt. His eyes are like tiny aquariums, but then so are everyone's.
10th August, second meeting. Sam presented new experimental work that made me feel sad. I asked if sadness intentional, and he said, sadness always intentional, then wrote something in his notepad. I'm still feeling emotional from Jakarta, jet lag. Suggested we give each other haircuts on stage, and he got very excited. A bit too excited, said I was only joking. I think he sleeps too much. Up close he smelled of baskets. He showed me a poem, Lemon Drink, that tried so hard I felt like writing in the margin, Christ, we get it, you're relatively young. But instead wrote, interesting half rhyme, re mango apple juice, can do attitude. Air of contractual obligation about his line endings. He said my new poem searched for something worth searching for, but looked in the wrong places. Detected irony betraying eyelid twitch as he said the word worth.
17th August. Met with Joe again. He'd just got back from scuba diving off the Great Barrier Reef. Some of Joe's ideas for the project: 1, rap battle; 2, arm wrestling; 3, spelling contest. Why does it have to be a competition? I just got out of the dentist. When I mentioned Joe's name, the dentist got so excited she squealed and over-drilled my tooth. So one side of my face is badly swollen and this weird bruise has crept up it. I'm not sure how she understood me, as I must have basically said, "Oh, uncle." It's good, Joe said. Bruises are poetic. I had to agree. Most of my poems have bruises in them. As we were in a public place, I resisted the urge to say, poems are a little bit like bruises, aren't they? We batted ideas for poetic things back and forth for a bit. Rain, sunsets, crows, blood, four-poster beds. So today I'm grappling with a poem in which I, the speaker, look out from a four-poster bed through rain at a sunset which is also a total eclipse as a crow pecks blood from a bruise on my neck. The crow is wearing sunglasses. It's like my signature move.
18th of August. There are two types of people in this world. Those who imagine better breakfast opportunities on the other side of airport security, and those who settle for the bar and grill. I picture Sam bent over a full Irish, seams of his sausages splitting. I showed him my persistently rhyming poem Meek Beak, but explained I want to read it on stage with live discordance techniques, ugly babies, unqualified hairdressers, a video of Sam playing tennis. He laughed for ages, and I saw alien ridges in the roof of his mouth. Hard to believe he is married.
20th August. My dreams last night starred Joe Dunthorne. The real Joe Dunthorne had died in childhood, and a series of imposters has acquired access to his rich, though not extensive experiences via an antique answerphone machine. At some point I was in a book signing queue. I glimpsed Joe far ahead, atop a sort of plinth, his tiny aquarium-like eyes flashing as a scent of fresh hay and sea salt washed over me. I called him immediately when I woke up before I forgot everything. Then I remembered he's wakeboarding in Bali this week. It went straight to voicemail and I left him a long message. I'd reached the point where I approached the fake Joe Dunthorne in my dream at a reading. It was you, but I knew you were pretending to be Joe Dunthorne, so I interrupted your reading. This is not the real Joe Dunthorne, I shouted, I said, when I noticed the familiar sound of moonlight on the line. I was still dreaming. Hang on, I'm still dreaming, I said into the coffin-sized copy of Wild Abandon I was suddenly holding. I tried to explain all this when we met. Joe looked at me in a way I think he would hope me to describe as strange upon recollection, such was its overpronouncement. We battered some work back and forth for a bit. His poem seemed to gaze remorsefully upon their achievements, like a football coach revisiting at night the grounds where he once coached an under-12s team to victory, then striding out into the headlights to somehow end it all. This was particularly true of the poem in which a football coach revisits at night the ground in which he once coached an under-12s team to victory, then strides forwards into his headlights to end it all, set in a dystopian future. But this is good. Contempt steals the resolve.
25th August. Final meeting. Caught glimpse of Sam's notebook, like lifting paving stone in wet weather. Handwriting that bad must be an affectation. He read me essay/poem called Ownership and Monosexuality in the Work of Joe Dunthorne. As he read, I suffered mild tinnitus. He said it was written in a new genre, slackademia, that allowed him to be difficult without pressure to be profound. Something wrong with my ears ever since Rio. Cycloptically heterosexual was how he described my late work. My late work, I now realise, is my new work.
26th August. Joe water skiing in Brazil, so he battered some text back and forth for a bit. More ideas for our performance. One, poem in which we film each other trying to ride our bikes with no hands and edit the resulting footage into a stacks section. Discontinued when we determine Joe can already ride his bike with no hands. Poem in which we keep wanting to say fuck the Olympics, then do actually say fuck the Olympics, abandoned due to irrelevance. 3, series of poems presented as diary entries, re-our collaborations. This last one seems somewhat inevitable, especially as I've already been writing this series of poems posing as diary entries about our collaboration, which I plan to publish separately to coincide with the release of Joe's next book. But this is good. Coincidences strengthen the intent. At our last meeting I lied, saying I would produce the diary for the project. This is also good. Recycling eases the conscience.